Time management actually isn't your problem. You are not out of hours, you're out of clarity. Let's talk about it. If you are finding yourself exhausted, running around with endless to-do lists and late nights, then this video is for you. Most people think that the solution to this problem of feeling exhausted, constantly feeling burnt out, and like you just don't have any more to give, could be solved if they only had more hours in a day. And I'm going to show you how for 99% of people out there, that is actually not where you should be starting. You should be focused on another place instead. And I know that if you're watching this, you're probably looking for some quick hack that's going to solve your time problems. But what I'm going to give you is even better, so stick around till the very end. I want to start off by challenging your perspective on something. You ready? And that is that not all tasks are created equally. And this applies to both in business and in life. So what do I mean by that? I want to bring in a concept called Pareto's principle. Some of you guys may have heard of it. It's also known as the 80-20 rule. So Pareto's principle tells us that 80% of causes or effects or outcomes comes from about 20% of the actions that we take. I know that sounds like absolute nothing, so let's break it down into real world examples. So an example of this in your personal life might be that 80% of the clothes that you actually wear on a daily basis represent 20% of your wardrobe. So out of all of the clothes in your closet, only 20% of them are you actually wearing regularly. And I know some of you are watching this and completely relate to that example because I know I definitely do. And we also see Pareto's principle play out in business over and over again. What you might find is that 80% of the money that you make in your business, 80% of your revenue, actually comes from 20% of services that you offer or 20% of customers that you have. So now that we know about Pareto's principle or this 80-20 rule, how do we use it to actually impact us when it comes to this problem that we apparently have around time management? Well, I would argue that we would start with what is the outcome we're trying to achieve? What is it that we are trying to get done? And then instead of focusing on everything, we want to focus on the 20% that's going to move the dial. I find that people often don't really think about what it is that they're truly trying to accomplish, and they don't take the time to deep dive into the priority tasks. Because what I'm telling you guys is that prioritization matters a lot of the times more than time management. Again, I'm going to argue most people actually have to focus on priority management and not time management. And that's the issue. People don't tend to know what the priorities in their life, in their business are. They just instead focus on bulldozing their way to where they need to be, which can be quite effective depending on what you're trying to achieve, but it's not sustainable, right? Even if you take an example of somebody trying to lose weight, you'll find that a lot of people, when they start this around the new year, they're trying to do everything all at once, right? They're trying to, buy cute gym outfits while also, doing yoga, doing cardio, lifting weights, getting their meal prep in order, changing their sleep schedule. Like, they're doing everything. And for most people, that's completely unsustainable and too radical of a way to approach a problem. And here's the thing, it's kind of not our fault that that's the perspective that we have. That's more often than not the solution that we're sold, right? We are often told that if we have a problem, the answer to it is to buy 10 products, obviously. Obviously, that's going to solve the problem that we have. But what happens is people buy into that, purchase all of these products, don't end up using any of them, and continue this cycle of wanting to achieve something, getting completely overwhelmed with it, and then dropping it. But I truly believe that for most people, less is more. And especially if the less that we're focused on are the strategic tasks that actually move the dial. So back to that weight loss example. If somebody is really trying to prioritize their health, and in this case, that might look like losing weight, what they can actually do is double down on the 20%. And the 20%, I'm telling you, is usually the unsexy stuff. It's usually the stuff that just requires you to show up and do it consistently, and not the stuff that everybody necessarily talks about. So maybe that 20% that you need to focus on for the first 90 days is actually not working out. It actually just might be around completely overhauling your eating habits, right? That might mean eliminating snacks. That might mean picking a diet to stick with. So that could be, low carb, high protein, and really making that change in your life. So instead of focusing on everything all at once, actually break it down into what you think can move the dial. And here's the thing, you might not know what's going to move the dial for you initially. And that's okay, you have to experiment, but you have to do it in a sustainable way. Pick what you think the 20% is, focus only on those tasks. And then once you've either accomplished what you're looking for, that could be developing a new habit, that could be achieving some sort of business outcome, then you look to stack and move on to the next priority. Because here's the thing, energy management is actually the name of the game. We are not robots, we are humans. So even if we have 24 hours in a day, we know that we cannot utilize all of those hours. We know that we need to sleep, we need to eat, we need community, we need social time, we need to make money, we need to do all of these things in order for our life to feel full. And I think it's okay to do something for a season, like go really hard for a period of time. That's actually something that I actually subscribe to and typically do in my life. But for most people, sustainability is key. And in order for something to be sustainable, you have to manage your energy levels. And I'm telling you guys this from experience because if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I faced serious burnout several years ago. I found myself in a position where genuinely for about 2 months, I couldn't leave the house. I was sleeping 12 hours a day. I was just completely burnt out, and it completely changed my perspective on how I view energy, how I view time management, how I view prioritization. Because here's the thing, I just don't have the capacity that I used to have. I was the definition of hustle culture. Like I was running 3 different businesses while working a full-time job, while trying to have a social life in a new city. I was doing it all and it eventually all caught up with me. So one of the reasons why I really believe in prioritization management is because it allows you to go deep with something and get good at it. I talk a lot about mastery on this channel, and one of the things about starting something new is that oftentimes you're not good at it, right? It takes you longer to get things done. If you decide that you want to get good at meal prepping in order to really change your health, well, what you're gonna find is that you're not very good at it when you first start out. So you're going to have to be looking up recipes online, actually completely referencing them every 5 seconds when you're making a meal. It's gonna take you forever to chop up vegetables. You're just gonna find that things take you a long time. But once you get good at it, once you have done it enough, you will find that you have this repetition flow that comes with it. And that is once you finally reached a tipping point where it's not something active that you have to think about it. You can almost just kind of do it on autopilot with your brain turned off. And here's the thing, that's where you want to be, because being in that state of having repetition flow actually means that you're using less energy in order to accomplish tasks, meaning that tasks feel less draining. They feel less exhausting. So it doesn't even feel like you're doing as much in a week. As opposed to when you're doing a million things at once and you're not very good at most of them. And then add on top of that the fact that they just might take a lot from you. It might require you, hopping in a car, driving for long periods of time, going to new places, buying new things. If you compound that on top of it, things tend to feel so exhausting. And ultimately, guys, all of this allows you to view your week with a different lens. And that lens is this idea of designing your week really focusing on impact and not hours. Oftentimes, that's how we're thinking about all of the things that we need to get done. We're thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to take me so long. It's going to take me this many hours. But if you peel back on what you're doing, focusing on the tasks that really move the dial, this allows you to focus on impact. So really checking off those boxes that allow you to get to where you want to be, achieve what you're looking to achieve, and make an impact on your life or on your business. So when you find yourself with a million things to do, don't just ask yourself, do I have the time for this? Ask yourself before you get started on a task, is this the highest use of my time? Because remember, it's not about doing more, as we discussed. It's about doing better. And better looks like focusing on the things that will actually make an impact. So the real takeaway for you guys here is that ultimately, time management is really just a surface level solution. If you really want real traction, you need to start focusing on managing your priorities, your energy, and also your vision and what it is you're trying to achieve. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up down below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.